Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Strong podcast. And this is episode 18 and week 18 of the marathon prep, which is the actual marathon itself. So this is a episode or podcast on the recap of the marathon and how the day went and my thoughts on the day and a little bit of reflection back on it because it's been a couple of days post marathon now that I'm recording this. So I've had a little bit of time to think back and look back and kind of process the whole day. But again, I'll give a little kind of step through from what I can remember on the day. I was like that some of it is a bit of a blur. And then kind of wrap up this little series, I suppose, that I started with in January because I wanted to start a podcast first and foremost, and I didn't really know how or what or talk about. And it just happened that I was training for a marathon at the same time. So I've been kind of, I suppose, documenting it over the last couple of months, to the point of getting to it and keeping the consistency with actually recording these little podcasts. So yeah, so I'll start off by, I suppose, a walkthrough of the day and what I can remember from the actual race itself. So we drove down that morning to Limerick, so we're about an hour and a half a drive down, pure because like that, you'd like to be in your own environment, in your own bed, have your own food the day before, like that. At this stage now, I didn't want anything to uh, get in the way or hinder things. So I wanted to make sure that I had as best as nice sleep as you can get the day like before, which actually was pretty decent. And all my own food and normal stuff that I was in my kind of normal routine. We travelled down that morning, got down nice and early. I think we were down about 7:30 or there, but I was parked up close enough, luckily, to the start line. Maybe like a 10-minute walk, less than. And yeah, got down, kind of went for a bit of a walk around, loosened out, kind of just stretch out the legs and start getting things kind of prepared and things. So yeah, then we went down to start line and yeah, nice big crowd. And again, I think it was on really the drive down that the nerves actually started kicking in and I kind of realised this is what I was doing. Because like that, I can be very good at keeping the mind occupied, during the week with work and, different things going on. So like that, this was actually really the first time, and even on the Friday evening before, or sorry, the Saturday evening beforehand, um, was the first real time I kind of was like, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is what all this training was for. So yeah, we got down to the start line again, warmed up down there, and 9 o'clock set off. And I suppose I did have a bit of a plan like that. I wasn't going for a time. My goal was just to finish it, whatever that time took. But I did have a little bit of, I suppose, check marks for the day. So like I had done previously a 22-kilometer running train a few weeks beforehand and it went really well. I was like, if I could replicate this on the day, I'd be quite happy in terms of just how I was feeling after it. So that was my kind of first marker that, get to 22 kilometers feeling well. And then I was kind of breaking it down into 10 and then 10. Do you know what I mean? So I was just mentally in my head there, my kind of three markers of how I was feeling at certain points along the way. And I just kind of went out at the same pace as I did as my training runs, and I kind of treated it as a longer training run with lots of people there. I probably did go out maybe a little bit faster, but I think like that's natural. And, I don't think that really had any effect down the line. I felt good and fit enough to do so. Yeah, went down and out, and you kind of go out from the city and you head out towards UL. It's quite a nice route. You kind of go out around across down by a riverbank, and it's a nice kind of pathway out. And they kind of try and keep away from the main roads, I think, as much as possible. So yeah, nice route through kind of UL, which is the university down there in Limerick, through the grounds of that, and kind of all around there. And on the way back in, then was feeling pretty good. Again, I had a plan of what and when I was going to take on gels throughout. My nutrition, I think the 2 days beforehand had been pretty good. And So my plan was kind of take a gel after 45 minutes for the first 45 minutes, and then kind of every half an hour after that was generally the plan of action for the day on that. And generally that kind of went to plan. Kind of did feel a little bit sick near the end. Again, you're just taking on these gels in the stomach, and again, you were at the point where you hadn't been before. So yeah, kind of felt a little bit nausy with the gels, and kind of hard to get the last couple in, but still got them in because like that, it's important as best you can to keep the nutrition going throughout. So headed back in, and after head back in towards the city, then like that was your halfway. So that was the halfway point. Once you did that first out and back in towards the city, that was your half. So again, or my like just over 22 kilometers when I hit it, and yeah, felt pretty good. And then you continued out again, a different route out of the city. And at this stage, then the half marathon race had started. So you were going out onto that course or that route. So like that, at this stage, like you're very spread out. I was on my own pretty much, or I could just see a couple of people ahead of me. But you were meeting all those half marathon people coming back in off of their route as we were going out on their route. So you might think that's a bit like frustrating because like, oh God, these people are coming back in, but it actually was great because and this is, I suppose, reminding me of why I like doing running events or these kind of events. It's just the people, like like total strangers I didn't know. No, people running against you, and they're all cheering you and helping you along. And there's people on the side of the road helping you and cheering you along, and stewards and everyone. Like, so it's a real great buzz. Like, I think that's the great thing about these and why people love them so much too. Apart from like obviously people in the competitive side of it, but just people wanting to take part and run their own race and complete it for themselves is like, the buzz around these things, and, people wanting to see other people do well and cheer them on. So it was great to kind of have that the whole way out on that route, pretty much, to be honest. And it kind of made it go pretty quick. And then there was a loop around to come back in. Now that was a bit long. And a bit, I suppose that was the lonelier part there until you came back in towards the city. That was kind of a little bit long stint all the way back in. And at that point then, I think I hit a hill and I did a little bit of a walk. So like that, I had in my head that, look, at any point, if I need to walk this out, I will for a little bit. And I think it was just anytime I seen a hill, I was like, if I run a small bit of it, and towards the end, then I might just pace out the last top of the hill with a little bit of a walk. So that was kind of any plan as well. It was another kind of thing I said I would do if I needed to. And probably on 3 occasions, maybe 4, I did that, which was cool. It kept me going. It kept my heart rate down. It kept me not spiking that, and able to like continue back into running then, no problem. So once then I headed back into the city, and at this stage then the 6 mile race had started. So there was a 6 mile race also as well. So you get put onto that route then, and you meet up, and then obviously you're in the city, so there's people like the massive people you meet then back coming in, and again people cheering you on, and it's great. And then you come onto that 6 mile route, which is your last 10k, my last 10k in essence. And this was, I did start to struggle a little bit here. Just my feet. I knew that was the second marker. Like it got to that 10k, so that was 32k. Got to pretty okay. And the last 10k then I knew there was going to be a point of a little bit of a struggle within that, because again, it's a distances I haven't gone near at all. So got out onto the crowd. Again, you had the crowd to kind of help push you along, and a bit of a buzz again all around that. And my feet kind of started aching a good bit. Again, I know it's from like where the arthritis is, the kind of the balls of my feet will get very tender. At this stage, we're going to be tender probably anyway, regardless. So like that, just took a couple of 10-second walking breaks, took on a gel when I could, water, and just kept on running then as best I could. Didn't worry about anything else other than that. And again, that was a kind of an out and back loop. So you kind of went out and looped around, And there was a point where you were coming down a hill. So obviously then near the end, I think we're at 38 or 39K maybe, 38K maybe, that it was a downhill. And I thought it was just get down to the bottom of the hill, turn around and come back up the hill. And that was then you were finished. Like, but no, there was actually a loop to go in, like through a housing estate and around. So like that's, you're getting to the point now where you do kind of want it to be over, but you're still trying to enjoy the whole, you're trying as best you can soak in this because, this is what all this training was for as well. You're trying to remind yourself to soak all this in. Okay, there's a loop here to do now. We just need to do that and then we're back up the hill. So like that when we did that loop, come back around, I think there was maybe 3K left, maybe, or 2.5K left. So like that, there was a nice climb, a long climb up to the top. And then once you kind of reached that top, you had 2K left to do. So like that, I walked most of that, or I walked a good bit of that because at this stage I was like, I don't need the I was happy enough just to pace it out. To be honest, I was probably quicker walking up it. So like that, just paced it out, got to the top, and then it was a nice downhill all the way into the finish line, into the city centre. And that then you really just soak it in at that stage. Like you can see they had kind of countdown markers for every 100 meters, and you could see them getting quicker and quicker. And so like it's funny, like yeah, at that 2K mark, it's like yeah, you're finished. Like you're happy then. Them 2K feel, I wouldn't say relatively easy, but they do because your mind just changes now to I'm there. Like so like across the finish line, managed to kind of step in out of the way because I couldn't actually believe that I finished it, to be honest. There's still a sense of, is this a bit of surreal around it, or did that just happen kind of a thing? So stood there for about 2 or 3 minutes. I think my legs just wouldn't move either. They didn't want to move from just literally going for 6 hours. It took me just over the 6 hour mark. Again, probably if I hadn't have walked, again, this is the thing, you can say, well, I probably would have got under 6 hours. But look, to me, that, again, as I said before, wasn't the point of this. It was to get from A to B and finish it. As I say, you completed a marathon. So took a few minutes to try and get the legs moving, recompose myself a bit. Like there was a bit of emotion around it too. Like you've just put in so much work into something, and like that, you finished it. And there's this little bit of, for me, a bit of disbelief about that I actually finished it. Like so. It still feels surreal, as I say, like it's a few days after and I'm still a little bit like that just happened. But I suppose that just shows how much it means. And when I look back at the experience, I don't remember the time. I actually remember just all the people cheering you on, and that's what I remember from like the day. It's just the buzz of the day, the buzz of going down, the nerves, remembering all the training and all the long runs you've done and getting out and doing all them and ticking all the boxes. And then just out on the day, trying to soak in. It just points where you're hurting a small bit and you're whatever, but you're trying to mentally remember to take it all in and enjoy it. And like I actually surprised again, like how much I remember from the day, because like that, I think you're a bit again, a goal in mind with two is to be present about it, like to remember the day too. And I hope this is a nice idea as well with the podcast. I have this like as a little bit of a voice note reminder of how the day went, and you can kind of look back and listen to it, and you kind of remember snippets of the day. But I suppose like afterwards then just enjoyed a few drinks, a meal, got to bed early, and just really enjoyed the whole day, to be honest with you, and just the whole experience of it, to say that you crossed that finish line with a medal and you finished it. And it went pretty much according to plan, or how I thought it would go, which I think is really good too. The after effect are now kind of a few days later. Definitely still even feeling it. Definitely like when I crossed the finish line, took off the shoes, my feet were very like swollen. They swelled up pretty badly. So they were fairly sore. But luckily things kind of calmed down. there was a pool and sauna and stuff in the hotel we were staying in. So the next day on Monday morning, went down there just to kind of try and help start the recovery process and stuff. And yeah, still even like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, still feeling fairly stiff and sore in places like, and even in places I didn't consider, like my back, my shoulders, my upper back was really tight, which, you know, just shows you how, like, it's not just the legs that get battered here, like the whole body does with it. And even now, like my, you know, fatigue levels and tiredness is still kind of lingering a bit. Like that, I do have an autoimmune condition too. Like, so again, there is a bit of a difference in recovery capacity there, or how, you know, quickly if we can recover after things. Like that, I kind of feel like I did when I started, like into, I suppose, even my half marathon preparations, that I would be very fatigued after the run until my body got used to it. So I feel like that's what I'm feeling now. Again, I'm not used to ran 42 kilometers, so I'm just feeling the effects of that. But again, I know it will pass. Take it easy like that. I have no plans of when I'm going to go back training or what I'm going to do. I'm going to just ease myself back into it, try and catch up on the sleep really as much as possible. I'm still like, I have a fairly high appetite again, because you're still trying to recover. So my nutrition, still trying to keep on top of that, and keeping that fairly support the recovery side of things. And yeah, we'll play it, I suppose, day by day. Hopefully by the end of the week, I hope to maybe hop on the bike, or, you know, maybe do a little bit of upper body weights or something. But again, just easy. I'm not in a rush for the next 2 weeks. I'm kind of just going to go off feel. Again, in the preparation for all this, I had planned a little trip to Spain. So we're going to Spain next week. So that'll be nice as well to have that again as a break and a switch off, and again, more reflection and more downtime too. Because like that, it is a lot of time. It's a lot of dedication for the last 4 months of not really doing anything else apart from running and working per se, like, you know. So yeah, so like that'll be a nice downtime too. But yeah, it's been a great experience, a great learning experience. And, you know, you learn a lot about what you're capable of doing. You know, even a few years ago, even before the arthritis and stuff, if you know, said you'd run a marathon, you know, I probably wouldn't even have been interested. But for some reason, I found a bit of a love for running, and I wouldn't call myself a runner. I'm just someone who likes to run for exercise, for training, for whatever. So yeah, it's kind of a cool thing to say that you've done a marathon, but also that you've proved to yourself that you're still able to push yourself, you know, and you're still able to just, you know, as I said, for me, it's just competing with myself and seeing, I suppose, where the boundaries are, or what, you know, you can achieve and do and things like that. So that's to me what it's all about. And we'll see when we come back from a bit of a downtime what's next. But again, I'm not in a rush. Training, as I said, is always something I have done since, you know, a very young age, training or playing sport or whatever. So I don't know anything else really, and it's just something ingrained in me. So like that, for me, it's not a big deal to get back whenever I want to, or whenever it feels right to. Because again, it's just something I do regardless of whether I'm training for something or just going about a normal day-to-day week. Really, so like that's the way I kind of treat it. So, but yeah, that's a wrap really on the whole little marathon series build up. I really appreciate anyone who has listened along, or gave you feedback, or, you know, it's again, this little podcast was something I started as a little project, again, maybe to help people know me a little bit more, or get a sense of who I am. And again, there'll be more coming, and I'll see what I'm going to do next, even with this, in terms of even just, you know, helping people more, or you know, talking through, you know, things that come up with people I work with, and mindsets and training, and, you know, different things like that. So yeah, no, I really appreciate anyone who's listened along, sent messages of support for the marathon on the day, after the day, during the day. It was great. And yeah, that wraps it up, and we'll chat again soon.